So joining us now from Dallas is a man named Talmage Boston. He's a presidential historian. He's written a book called How the Best Did It, Leadership Lessons from Our Top Presidents. And that is been out about a year, done very well. We did not steal from Mr. Boston's book for confronting the presidents. These are two separate books, although there is cross-section about Abraham Lincoln, of course, and people like that. All right, Mr. Boston, do you disagree with anything in my setup to Trump's speech tonight?
I think it's accurate. I think if you see the Democratic women in Congress are planning on wearing pink, maybe the black African-American Congressional Caucus is going to wear black. Who knows what other things they have planned in an attempt to draw attention to themselves and thereby draw attention away from President Trump. President Trump does need to do all the things that you said in terms of take the high road, talk about what he wants to do, what America must do to turn around where we've been the last 4 years, and to the extent he can keep it professional and under control and not take the bait that will surely come at him from certain members of the Democratic Congress, will certainly cause him to have a better overall night. And there's so much going on in the world right now with Ukraine and Russia, with the imposition of these tariffs and what their impact's going to be on inflation, as well as relations with Mexico and Canada and China. A lot of balls up in the air.
A lot of important stuff. If you were writing the speech, because I know you wrote for the Dallas Morning News, would you mention Biden and how much?
I would minimize it, if at all. I mean, his Trump's inaugural address was thrown exactly at Biden's face with Biden sitting there. So I don't think going back to reiterate those points that were made 6 weeks ago very emphatically is something that needs to be done. I think it would be a great opportunity for Trump to show that he's past that. He's ready to lead now. He's ready to take the country in new directions. He's not about retribution. He's not about being critical of somebody who's no longer in the picture. Let's deal with today and let's move forward tomorrow.
I have a slight disagreement with you, though. If he's going to tell the American people about problems he's attempting to solve, he's got to define the problem. So in the Biden administration, for example, and we're going to do this later on in this broadcast, Medicaid spending went totally out of control, spiraled totally out of control, because the Biden administration allowed the states to abuse the federal money. The same thing with DOGE. You've got to lay off so many people in the federal apparatus because there's way too many, and the budgets are just going through the roof. And he has to apply that to Biden in order to get sympathy for his firings, for example. Am I wrong?
Well, I think he needs to address the problem. And obviously the problem was caused by his predecessor, not by him. What I was meaning by my remarks is don't make it personal. It's fine to define the problem that he's now trying to tackle. We know that he didn't cause the problem, his predecessor did. But let's talk about what we're going to do about the problem.
So don't call him Sleepy Joe. You don't need to sleepy in this. you just need the facts. Now, the Ukraine thing, he's got to get that up top. We hear rumors of an announcement, but I guess they're tamping that down. NBC is reporting that the speech is going to be about rising American power, about how under Trump's leadership, America's going to reassert its power in the world. That's going to be an overarch. But Ukraine is the beginning of that. Now, Trump's kind of caught because he can't say to the American people, here's what I'm going to do with Vlad Putin. He can't lay out his negotiating tactics. But at the same time, he's got to explain why he's not hammering Putin, who's as evil as they come, right? How would you handle that?
Well, Trump obviously has very specific ideas about how he wants to negotiate this deal. He's met previously with Putin. He's obviously now met with Zelenskyy. He's trying to figure out the best possible angle and gaining information along the way with each transaction, each communication, each observation. I don't think in his own mind he's established a set strategy for how he's going to deal with Putin. He obviously doesn't want to set anything back. He wants to think that whatever he does moves his position forward. He obviously wants to achieve a peace. I think everybody wants that. The question is under what terms, and is it going to be something that America's going to be happy with, that Europe's going to be happy with, or not? Is he going to look like Putin's foil, or is he going to look like he ultimately wins the negotiation? He darn sure does not want to look like Putin's foil. That would be a disastrous impression.
Do you think he has to explain why he slapped Zelenskyy around? Do you think he has to go into a micro on that?
He probably will go into a micro. Do I think he has to? I think he needs to offer a brief explanation as to why he thought it was important on television in the Oval Office, something that's never happened before, to have this kind of an angry confrontation with somebody who in many respects should be our ally, although he was not exactly on his best behavior. So I think some explanation is necessary, but hopefully it won't go on and be too micro and won't involve too bad of personal criticism of the way Zelenskyy handled himself, because that's not going to advance the ball.
You know, if I were Trump, I would praise Zelenskyy. I would say, look, I understand why he's so emotional about it. His country's getting battered. You got 1 million people lying dead. You get 8 million fled the country. I would almost be generous to Zelenskyy. That would just discombobulate the opposition, number one, and send a message to the world. It's not personal, where I think it is a little personal myself. I think Trump is offended by Zelenskyy's swagger and sense of entitlement. I saw it. It was visible. Zelenskyy feels he's entitled to the United States' largesse, where he isn't.
No doubt that Zelenskyy, and I think today I saw something, he's come out and realizes that he handled it improperly. This was not the time or the place or the manner to deal with this very delicate situation. I do think almost all Americans are pulling for Ukraine, and certainly nobody's pulling for Putin that has any sense at all. And so he knows where the American people want this to come out, and it's his job to orchestrate it with the best possible deal, and his job to bring an end to this war that's been going on so long.
Well, the president didn't ask me. I have to be upfront because sometimes he does. But if he had asked me, I would say be a little conciliatory to Zelenskyy. Just send a message that, look, we understand your emotions got the better of you. And, when you're seeing people die all over the place, and there's no doubt that Putin's the most evil guy on earth, but if Trump wants to deal with him, he can't say it. Wouldn't you agree with that? If Trump wants to get something out of Putin, he can't call him the most evil. My book coming up is Confronting Evil. I got Putin right on the cover. But I'm not negotiating a peace deal with the man. Trump can't do that. Am I wrong?
Well, anybody who's ever been involved in a negotiation knows you don't start the negotiation by spitting in the guy's face or doing things to aggravate the guy. The old adage, if somebody likes you, he'll give you the benefit of the doubt, and if he doesn't, he won't. Negotiations necessarily involve compromise, and nobody wants to even think about compromise if you've been personally insulted. So
Zelenskyy has not been in that compromise zone. I want to be fair and point that out. Final question: you're a presidential historian. I believe that Trump is going for the gold here, and I know that because he's discussed it with me. He wants to be on Mount Rushmore. I mean, can't be on that mountain, but he can buy his own mountain. He can put his face up there, and I hope he's thinking about his legacy tonight when he delivers the speech, which is an important speech, obviously, because pettiness doesn't get you on Mount Rushmore, right?
Well, the great presidents understand the concept of magnanimity, taking the high road, not taking the bait to your critics, seeing the big picture, seeing it through, not getting bogged down in petty quarrels. And not that Trump has proven himself to be a student of history, but even with a skim reading of history, you'd know that's the way you behave. Trump's been involved in hundreds, if not thousands, of negotiations. He understands dealing with people in the context of negotiation. And what happens in this Ukraine-Russia will definitely set the tone, I think, for the rest of his presidency. So this is extremely important, and he knows that. And hopefully he's going to come up with the best strategy that doesn't get personal, keeps all the objectives in the front of the mind, doesn't get sidetracked by personal attacks, and gets us to the goal line sooner rather than later.
That's a good point, that he knows that this Ukraine thing is a linchpin for the next 4 years. Mr. Boston, thanks very much. Really appreciate it. The book, again, is How the Best Did It, Leadership Lessons from Our Top Presidents, Talmage Boston. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on X. Look for @Bill O'Reilly.